Good evening, New Canoe Nation. It's your new improved host, Matt Gibson. How's everybody doing tonight? We have a very special guest with us tonight, Brian the Thriller Schiller. Kind of flipping it a little bit tonight. We realized that all these episodes in that we haven't talked to Brian and kind of got his side of things. So tonight is going to be a little bit of a different show. It's going to be it could be a total train wreck or it could be a lot of fun, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, our guest tonight is Brian the Thriller Schiller. There he is.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Brian?
So real quick, because I normally do like some announcements and stuff at the beginning of the show. I just read Everett Park. If you guys caught the show last week, in regards to River Wolf, they just he's getting moved. I forget to what hospital, but this is good news, and a lot of Duke University.
Yeah.
So a lot of prayers, a lot of thoughts are being answered, man. Thank you guys, everybody who tuned in to last week. I know I heard for the raffle that's still going on that you can get in on through Westbrook to win a Sonny's kayak and motor and all that stuff that he uses out on the water. They have something like, I think it was $8,000 or something last I heard in raffle tickets sold. I'll drop those links in the chat. So if you guys missed last week's show, please tune into that. Go back, rewatch on Facebook, YouTube, catch it on any of the major podcast platforms. Super huge. It's awesome to see the kayak fishing community come together, get behind one of our brothers in need. He's suffering some stuff, and I actually got to go back and watch. I think it was today. They were on the news down there because when Sonny was awake the one day, he wanted to get married to his wife. They got 3 kids. They've been together forever, but it was something he wanted to get done like now. So they made it happen, and beautiful story. You could see that up at SaveRiverWolf.com, and I will drop that in the chat right now. So sorry to steal your thunder there, Mr. Host. Happy to be here tonight.
Awesome. It's good to have you, Brian. It's good seeing you, man.
I haven't seen you in 2 days?
Yeah, it's been a while, let me tell you.
Yeah. So what do you got for me, man? Lay it on me. I'm ready for this. I was like, we should do this, and no better person to host it than you, my regional director, so you could tear into me a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously, if the folks watching out there tonight have any questions, because you guys see me every week, drop them in the chat. I'm an open book, and let's get them answered.
Yep. So just so you know, this first question is going to kind of set up the tone of the interview. So,
oh boy.
So, who's your favorite regional director?
Man, that's hard. Is it Stuart Venable, Schmitz?
He's good.
No, it's actually you, man. You and I had a very long, extensive conversation on my way home from Indiana this past weekend, talking about, my whole journey into this kayak fishing thing and how I was in kind of a bad spot about 2 years ago, and then got in with New Canoe and the other podcast that I do is really blown up and had some great opportunities, and it's just like everything's come full circle. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's been I know it's been kind of a long road for you, but man, it's been a lot of fun. I think that we're one of the funner regions to begin with.
My man James O'Neill called it. He said, "Not you, Matt." Yeah, I mean, I always start off with the guests, like how you got into fishing and kayak fishing, and I think that's something I've never talked about on here. But I'm from the Midwest. I'm like 10 minutes south of the Wisconsin border here in Illinois. Trust me, I'd rather be on the other side of the border. But as a little kid, I think I was 7 years old, and my dad took me out ice fishing, and I caught an 18-inch crappie through the ice, like
Wow.
little 6-inch
Yeah.
hole, like
Right.
barely fit through,
Yeah.
So it was that's the earliest like fishing memory I have. I know there was times where like went bank fishing and stuff, but that's what like really got me hooked. And started um you know, begging dad, take me fishing, take me fishing. And my dad grew up on a small lake right outside of Chicago. It was like a kind of like this summer cottage community. He, had three other brothers, and grew up with my grandma and grandpa in a 1-bedroom summer cottage. Um, but that was his escape, from his brothers and stuff like that. And he kind of carried that on to myself. And I remember being a teenager, like we moved. Well, there was a little creek down the road that I used to ride my bike to, flip rocks, looking at for crayfish. I know at one point I was so desperate because I knew if I touched my old man's fishing rods, I'd probably have like 2 broken hands.
Yeah.
So like we would rig up, like I'd steal some fishing line off a spool and like rig up like a bear hook and like float it
Yeah.
in the creek. And I think one time I actually caught a fish that way. But we moved north a little further away from the city, and there was a conservation area not too far from the house. So we used to ride it. Me and my buddies would ride our bikes up there and fish. I got my dad to buy me a fishing pole and gave me some old lures and stuff, like the pre-rigged like 3-hook worms and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I remember because my dad used to tournament fish. Probably he got into it probably when I was like 14, I think 14 or 15. So like I always idolized that. Like he would take me out pre-fishing with him sometimes, and coolest stuff in the world. And I remember he used to get the big thick Cabela's catalogs
Oh
in
God.
Bass Pro Shops, like the hardcover ones,
Do you remember the leather ones? The leather,
Yeah,
like
dude.
if you spent so much with Cabela's, you got the leather catalog.
And he would get those. So like I remember there was one Christmas, like I probably virtually like highlighted like almost every bait and every other color
Yeah.
in that thing. And I was like, Dad, like I know you and Mom will be able to get me all these, but I'll take whatever I can get,
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think I got I got a sweatshirt that year. Like totally crushed my dreams. But we used to like do chores and stuff and like scrape together enough money to go get a dozen night crawlers. We'd ride our bikes up there, and then like we would ride up there and we'd fish from the bank. And I remember me and my best friend growing up, we were always like, dude, we need to get a boat. We need to get off the shore. So we actually scraped some money together, and we got this like inflatable 2-man like boat,
Yeah.
and we would huff that thing on our bikes up to the pond and set it up, whatever. And then in high school I got a canoe. So like I've always had that paddling type fishing background, and then as I got a little bit older, made some money and stuff, I like got into boats. I had like a big cabin cruiser. Then I got rid of that, got an open bow and a 16-foot fishing boat. I ended up getting rid of those, and I found the kayak in 2018. Me and my buddy, he was like, man, I really want to get a boat. Like he was bank fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I was spoiled because I still had my little 16-foot Sylvan, So, we started doing some research, and it was tough back then. Like, kayak fishing is so new, and like back in 2018, there still wasn't a ton of info. Like, there was definitely Chad Hoover and Gene Jensen and a few other guys. Like, I found KBF at that time, and didn't want to spend a ton of money, but like started doing some reviews, like reading reviews online, and I bought an Ascend 12T, and I had that boat for like 2 months and sold it to a kid that worked for me at the time. I'm like, this thing's horrible. Like these guys online are lying to me. Like, there's no way my tall, chubby butt is going to stand in this thing. Like I did it, but it was not comfortable. So, meanwhile, my buddy Scott, like, I found out about New Canoe. Man, I looked this up a while back. I think it was like 2009, 2010.
So back in the classic days.
Classic days. I actually emailed Blake. So, like, I've always wanted to find my way into the kind of like the fishing world, you know? And I I had this outdoors website that I started. It was called Trail the Outdoors, and
And
like
when was this?
that was 2010
Okay.
or 2011.
Early.
So yeah, it was early. Like, it was the newer years of YouTube. So like I got some really old YouTube videos out there that are like so bad. But we covered like
my phone
we
here.
we covered hunting and fishing, and
Oh, okay.
which is like two of my passions, right? And
Yeah.
I covered more of the fishing stuff, and we had a couple people, and we'd like write blog posts and things, and we would uh, film some of our adventures and things like that. And like I had reached out to Blake because I had seen New Canoe somewhere. I don't remember where it was, and we were talking about like maybe trying to sell some stuff online. That was back in like the big online days when you'd set up stores and things like that. So I had actually, reached out to Blake, and like we almost made something happen. And then like I just quit doing that, and then I little bit later found Blogspot. I used to write on, a
Yep.
blog. Then I got away from like all that stuff and just kind of chilled out and just did my own thing, fishing and hunting and things like that. And then in 2018, found the kayaks, got rid of that, found my local shop here, Rocktown Adventures. And my buddy Scott was the first one that found him. And I had told him about New Canoe. And I was like, dude, you should check these out. Like, I remember seeing them and like how they were like virtually untippable and things like that back in the day.
Yep.
So he actually went to a demo day and he bought a Frontier 12 so that way he could go tandem with his son or go solo. And I was like, man, I can't get the same boat as my buddy. That'd be cliche, So I'm always that guy that's like kind of on the outer edge. So I went to a demo day myself. I thought I was going to buy the Pursuit, you know, um, and I did the demo, and I actually ended up in a Bonafide SS 127 because I thought like the whole time I was on the water, I was just going to stand and fish. Well,
Right.
now looking back, like I don't stand as much as I thought I would, so to speak.
Yep.
So I was in that for a little bit, and like him and I were big fans of podcasts. So we were like, dude, how cool would it be to start a podcast? Like just, talking about like our trips out on the water and what we're learning. Like we struggled to find good information. Why not be those guys that people can go to find information? So they're not or and learning from our mistakes. So we've always been like kind of open to that. So we started paddle and fin, and that was in June of 2018. We started doing episodes like every 3 weeks, every other week, and then we were like, oh, we should get more consistent with this. So then it was like every week we went to every week, and then Scott kind of stepped away, and my new co-host Jay Randall came into play. He was actually I think he was our first guest. He was on the Jackson team, and I'm like, dude, like, can kayak companies have boat teams? And he was like, yeah, dude, like it's kind of cool. So like Jay has kind of been I got to give a huge shout out to him because he's kind of been the guy that like kind of took me under his wing and showed me like how to do things, like take good photos.
Yep.
Like I was always into photography, but like take good photos, write articles, things like that. And then
Jay's still a great resource, man. Like
oh yeah, absolutely. He doesn't do as much as he used to, and that's just because he's old and lazy. But it's funny because he and I also recently had a conversation. He's like, dude, look at how far you've come in 4 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, Yeah, you're right. You know, it's kind of crazy to go back and think back on that stuff, you know. So, fast forward to what 2019, you and I had a conversation and I was like, "Man, I've always been a fan of New Canoe." And you're like, "Oh, you're finally coming out of the closet, huh?" So, I got back into it and got into a pursuit, love that boat, fished a flint out of like small skinny rivers, and now like you can't beat the Unlimited, that's
Yeah.
my baby. But got on the New Canoe team. uh it's been pretty incredible compared to like some of the other companies I've been partnered up with in the past, and it's got that small family vibe feel, and then approached you, Everett, Blake, about doing this podcast here, to kind of spotlight some of our team guys when we got new products coming out, answering questions to the people that are watching at home, and things like that. And it's been pretty incredible, So
Yeah.
it's kind of hectic. Like we've talked about that, like there's some weeks where I do 4 podcasts a week,
Right.
But on the like legitimate side, like I'm doing 2 a week. But I'm always jumping in on some of the other paddle and fin shows, guests on other podcasts, things like that. But you know, fishing is my passion, so why not talk about it as much as possible? And not only that, but learn from all the different people that I talk to. Like that's the one thing. Like I'm like a walking kayak fishing encyclopedia with all the different anglers I talk to, setups, boats, things like that. I've always
Mhm.
been an open mind. Like I'm not like, just because I'm on the New Canoe team doesn't mean I hate everybody that's not in a New Canoe. Like,
Right.
like I've always preached, man, there's no such thing as a perfect boat. There's a perfect boat for a perfect person for a perfect situation, you know? And I talk about that in like some of the seminars and stuff I do, but I've just always wanted to find my way into the fishing world, and I've finally kind of done it. I've found a home, with some of the companies I work with, especially New Canoe, and I just love it, man. I'm continually growing and furthering my reach in the fishing world, man. I'll talk and I'll do 8 million podcasts, and as long as I affected one person and got one person on the water to catch one fish and hook them for life, I did my job, and I will die a happy man. And
Yeah. I mean, so you and I worked the show last weekend together, along with Andy Knott.
sure.
I mean, you guys, just rock stars. And one thing that I always pride
Did you
ourselves.
wait a minute? Did you just call me a rock star? This is recording. This is live, bro.
Oh, I didn't mean it. but I mean, like you come up to the booth and we're just kayak fishermen, man, and we're passionate about it. I mean, you got a guy in a kayak that that he said that he never thought he'd be able to stand in a kayak. He jumped in a
Yeah,
unlimited
that's
in
yeah.
the demo pool, and like stories like that, it's just amazing how you can impact somebody and help them along the way. And
That yeah, that was a cool story, man. That
yeah,
guy, he came into the booth and he's like, "How stable are these things?" I'm like, "Dude, I'll stand in this thing all day long. I'll walk from front to back." And he's like, "Yeah, well, you're a little bit smaller than me." I'm like, "Trust me, dude. Like,
hmm
you can do it. Like, it's not that big of a deal." And having that demo pool there and being able to put them in a boat right there on the spot, is huge. And I remember he got in. He's like, "There's no way I'm standing up. I'll sit in it, whatever." I pushed him off the dock. He floated back maybe 15 feet,
yep,
rocked his hips a little bit, and I'm like, "Go ahead, stand up." And after this guy fought with me for like 15 minutes, saying there's no way he'd ever stand up in a kayak, he stood up, and
yeah,
I was like, "See, I told you." And I was like, "Yes."
no
Like I,
shaking knees or nothing. And
yeah,
he stood up and he locked eyes with me, and I was like,
yeah, dude, it was awesome. That was so cool. It was so cool. Yeah, it's moments like that, man, where like,
yeah,
I talked about that in my seminar this weekend, like I get a lot of people that, I love to talk and I talk a lot. And, I tell people that I kayak fish, in tournaments for fun, this and that. And they're like, they eye me up and, I'm like 6'4", like 260 pounds. And they're like, you fish out of a kayak. Well, most people think of sit inside like little 10-foot Pelican kayaks, right? Like,
Yeah.
so they're like, you fit in a kayak? And I'm like, did you just call me fat, bro? Like, you know what I mean? But, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people don't know about kayak fishing, man. And then when they learn about it, they're like, I never knew this. This is
Yeah.
completely amazing. Like, I got friends that I haven't seen in a few years, like legit 4 or 5 years. Obviously, the pandemic like put a kibosh on that, and they see like me post on social media. Like, I just talked to a friend through Facebook Messenger, and he owns a jazz club downtown Chicago. I did some work in his house, whatever, and he's like, dude, like, seems like you're really blowing up with this fishing thing. Like, how does that all work? Like, in kayaks? And I was like, yeah, dude, like, it's a lot bigger than you think.
Yeah.
Um, so it's cool, man. And obviously we saw Chad Hoover this weekend, and um, he said some words at the Hoosier Kayak Bass and get together, and he's like, butts and seats is the most important thing to me. And like, I can relate to that because that's me through and through,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, man. I love, especially with today's technology. I've talked about it before. Like, so many people are glued to this
Yeah.
cell phone. You know what I mean? Not enough people get outdoors, and like, I don't want to say it was a blessing because that's kind of the wrong thing, but the pandemic really pushed people outdoors to get outside and like find themselves again. You know what I mean? And to me, that was a beautiful thing. Not the COVID part, just the fact that people were forced to do that because you couldn't go to concerts, ball games, big parties, things like that. So you can only be cooped up in the house for so long. And it was cool to see that explosion of folks get into the sport. Like, I see Ken Kaiser, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but he's like, I'm new to the kayak fishing world and looking forward to getting out with my Unlimited, just waiting for my local waters to turn to liquid again.
I
I'm
hear
right
you,
there
brother.
with you, man. Like, I'm jazzing. I'm jazzing. Like, I fished
Yeah.
last month in Florida, and like, I'm like, dude, I gotta get out there,
Right.
But
Yeah, man.
you know,
So
it,
another story from this weekend, real quick. I had a gentleman walk up to me and he said, "I'm a first generation outdoorsman."
yeah,
I mean, how cool is that? That he's pursuing his outdoor passion out of a plastic boat.
yeah,
Like that is just, and he just flat out said that I'm tired of standing on the bank and casting. Nothing wrong with bank fishing at all, and hell, I still bank fish sometimes, but just him having the opportunity, to get out there and really share our passion and make those memories for himself. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
it is, man. There was another younger guy that came into the booth, and I met a lot of people this weekend, and I know a lot of people from Indiana, and I'm forgetting names, but one guy, I believe he fishes either GRBY or IKA, and he's like, yeah, the so and so younger guy, just got an Unlimited, and he wants to do some duck hunting out of it. And he's like, you do some duck hunting, right? And I was like, yeah, have the past 2 years, and he came over and he started talking to me and he was asking me questions and things like that. And I was like, dude, just don't give up, man. Like,
Yep.
um, I didn't get into hunting till I think I was 28. My dad bird hunted a little bit before I was born. And then when I was born, my mom made him get rid of all his shotguns and stuff like that, which I understand. I don't hold that against her or anything. Like, my dad was big into trap shooting and things like that. But like, that's the thing. You're never too old to get into or try some of these new things. You know what I mean? And there's so many people out there willing to uh, show you or take you under your wing and be a mentor to you. You know, like Jay, for instance, my good friend Jay, like just got into hunting 2 years ago, and Jay's 46. Yeah, Jay's 46. Never hunted a day in his life. Did a bunch of target shooting with a bow back in the day and things like that, and you know, got me back into bow hunting again and took him under the wing, like taught him like how to do things right, and it's been huge and it's been cool to see him transform and turn into this like, avid hunter, which is awesome. It's the same thing with anybody I've gotten into fishing, like I just saw my buddy Eric 2 weekends ago at my surprise birthday party, and like he he had fished like from the bank a little bit here and there, and like I got him into fly fishing when I got into fly fishing, and like took him under my wing, and now he's a fly fishing junkie, and it's just like, dude, like what kind of monster did I create? But
yeah,
you
never
know,
know you never know how you're going to impact somebody, man.
exactly. We got a couple questions and comments in here, so I'm going to go through these real quick. James O'Neill said, "I'm sorry for you Northerners. I've been fishing all winter. Hate you." I'm just kidding, James. I love you, bud. Papa Skidder said, "I sold this skiff. Why did I do that? It's okay. I'll find a kayak and be on the water again." And then his follow-up question was, "Are these kayaks suitable for a saltwater environment?" Absolutely. I know a lot of the offshore guys and like guys launching in the surf like the Pursuit, but they're also liking the Unlimited as well because of the draining features. So check those two out, Papa Skidder.
Yep. Yeah, check out guys like Jordan May, those guys that, down in Florida.
Yeah. Brian Moore said, "Great to meet you this weekend, Brian. Matt, always great to get a chance to talk to you. I'll be tying on the tube more this season for sure."
Awesome.
Our buddy Brock Howell, what's up, guys? Nice hanging out with you guys this weekend. Looks like I'm going to be joining you two in an Unlimited in 2022.
Attaboy.
We converted another one.
Attaboy.
Ken Kaiser said, "I'm so confident about this kayak fishing gig that I'm putting my aluminum bass boat on the market next month. I'm 65 and looking forward to simplifying my fishing experience." And that's what it's all about, is just, getting simple, getting back to the basics. Like, I think you and I had a conversation, or I had a conversation with somebody, how like sometimes I love just stripping down my kayak to bare bones and taking like 2 rods and that's it. Instead of having like the motor and all that stuff and too much gear. And, it's nice to be simple again,
It is. Yeah. I mean, my river setup is super, super simple. I pop the motor off the Unlimited, and I put a yag edge at the rod stager in that middle rail, and I put my rods down and I go
on. Boat, I think it's Boat Us or Boat USS Iowa on YouTube says, "Have you ever heard of securing a wheelchair on the Unlimited kayak?" I believe so. The guy to talk to is Mike Schmitz.
Yep.
We did a podcast here. You could go back, find it on the YouTube page or channel. And Mike's in a wheelchair himself. And he works with a bunch of great organizations and does a bunch of great stuff with folks that have disabilities or handicaps to get them on the water. He would be the guy to talk to. Hit him up, search it on Facebook. If you message the New Canoe Facebook page, more than likely it's Mike helping answer those questions. They will direct that to him. Steve Christensen asked, "Am I going to be in Madison this weekend?" I am not. I will be down in Indianapolis this weekend. Brad Hurlboss and Chris Slifka will be up there in the Rocktown booth representing New Canoe. James O'Neill says, "Do I know what I'm talking about on the Unlimited page? The company is down in South America. Do you know how it kind of shows videos, don't you?" I'm not sure what you're referring to. Buzz Byerline, Florida misses you. I miss Florida.
You brought some of Florida back to Indiana with you.
Yeah.
Stand in your kayak and
Lintzman, getting other crazy people into kayak fishing so I feel more normal. # goals.
there you go.
Agree. Papa Skitter, yeah. Instagram, you can go to the New Canoe page as well, or go to the New Canoe website. I will drop the link for you in the chat right now. Nicholas Beltran, hope is all is good. Looking forward to our talk Thursday. Yeah, I'll have Nicholas Beltran on my show on Paddle and Fin this coming Thursday. It'll be good. Good stuff. What else you got for me, man?
Well, I threw away most of the questions because you
answered them all in one long
plowed,
response because I like to talk a lot.
You just plowed right through them. So, how many years have you been doing Paddle and Fin?
Since 2018, so 4 years roughly.
So what, back then, what from any time, what's one of your memorable shows, or what do you have a favorite or a gold standard show? And you can include the Unlimited podcast in there if you want.
Man, it's hard to have a favorite. Like, I don't have one. Like, I got so many favorites. Like, every show is my favorite, man.
Lame.
I know it's a lame answer, but
No.
Everybody is interesting in this little kayak community,
Yeah,
like everybody's got a story, everybody's got a background, everybody's got skeletons in the closet, everybody gets into it for different reasons, man. It's pretty amazing. And I've talked to some pretty incredible people, both on the high end of things, like owners of company. Like, I love talking to Blake, dude. Like, he is such a down to earth guy, and he's real upfront and honest, and I'm not kissing ass right now, but like, when you're in a position like I am where you get to interview like anybody you can, like I love talking to some of these bigger names in the company, like how to and understanding how their brain works and where they're coming from. I've always had that entrepreneurial, background, so to speak. So I'm always curious. Like, I've talked to him. I've talked to Luther, who owns Yak Attack and used to own Bonafide.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of people that own companies, and like, those are always cool to me because I love business,
Yeah.
But I've also talked to so many incredible anglers, dude. Like, it's hard to put like a stamp on like which one's the best because they're all different, So I know that's kind of a roundabout answer, but
I always enjoyed the after hour shows, man.
Those can get a little rowdy. Like, I'm all about those, but
yeah.
Me, dude. I like to learn and talk, and I think the best thing is like, and we kind of talked about this personally, like, I've always wanted to kind of find my way into this kind of fishing world, outdoors world. And there's a lot of people out there like me that, want to be hooked up with a team like New Canoe or sponsored by company A or B, and like kind of try to make this a living thing. A lot of guys, it's a hobby, things like that. And being able to give those guys an opportunity to get their name out there and tell their story, and with the chance that somebody from company A, B, or C might see that and pick them up, dude, that's huge. Like, and not only that, but like, we've talked to a lot of small businesses. Like, I was talking to Adam Reiser today, and he was like, dude, you like, Paddle and Fin is like throwing me a ton of business. He's like trying to do his own guiding thing, teaching people how to use electronics and stuff down in the Tennessee area. And he's had people travel to him to do that because they heard his story on a podcast he did on Paddle and Fin.
Right.
And like, to me, that's heartwarming. That's awesome, dude. Like, somebody's making it because I helped them out, or so and so, talk to them on a platform I created for anglers by anglers.
Yep.
It's pretty incredible, dude.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about Paddle and Fin, honestly, is that you guys are all anglers and you all come from. There's all different points from Jimmy Skinner to
I don't know
you
about that guy, but
to
yeah,
Jay
yeah.
to Brad Hicks to
We're a big family,
Sean.
dude, and we're spread across the country. So,
Yeah.
and like I've always said, man, like the way I ask a question or approach somebody or an interview is going to be different than somebody else. And some people may not relate to me, but they may relate to another guy. And that's great because I get that all the time, right? Because like I've been dubbed like one of the quote unquote OGs in the podcast game, right? And
Mhm.
for as far as fishing goes, because we started so far back, in the two podcasts that were kind of kayak fishing related back then are no longer existent,
Yeah.
right? So we're like one of the longest running that's like kayak fishing focused. And there's been a lot that have popped up over the years, that were people that were listeners of our podcast. Some of them I helped start their podcast. Some of them I've been like, dude, don't even start a podcast. Just jump on with us. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I get these messages sometimes like, so and so started a podcast. You worried about it? I was like, no, why would I be worried about it? Like, again, going back to when I got into kayak fishing, I struggled to find good information. And that was always one of my goals is to share experience, share other people's experiences, educate, get the knowledge out there, get the word about kayak fishing out there. And I think I've accomplished that. And I've,
Yeah.
again, have sparked a lot of other podcasts, which is awesome. The more the
Mhm.
better because that's the more awareness, the more reach our sport is getting in the long run.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry, that was another long-winded answer.
I mean, I'm used to it now.
Yeah, I know. I know. So,
I mean, I know you and I talked, had some reflection on over the years, and yeah, I mean, you guys kind of settled into your spot in the industry, and you seem content, but you guys are still growing, like, and it's just happened naturally, and that's what's awesome, man. So,
yeah, I always get that question too, like, where are you gonna stop? Like, who said anything about stopping?
how many episodes are you guys up to now?
It's over 800. I
Yeah,
couldn't tell you. I could probably log in right now and tell you exactly. Actually, I could
yeah,
probably open Apple Podcasts. Um, but in the interim, it's quite a bit, and we release a show 7 days a week.
yep,
Sometimes it's like 8 or 9 a week
yep.
nowadays. I looked today because we got our big Dale Hollow event coming up. I think there's like 16 of us, like total. Not Susie's the only one that's not on a show currently. She used to do a show. She does a lot of our back end work, but she'll be coming back. I
Yeah.
think I got her talked into it. 828 episodes, but
Wow, that's
I
impressive.
mean, I got the rest of the week to upload still. So.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man, it's cool. It's we're up to 80 ratings on Apple
There you
Podcast.
go.
It's just cool, man. It's something I enjoy. It is a ton of work. Like we talked about that, like the endless amount of hours that goes into Paddle and Fin doing this unlimited show. Like what a lot of people don't realize is like I got to reach out to somebody. I got to schedule them, walk them through that. I got to make a thumbnail for the show. I got to get
Yeah.
that uploaded along with like, the scheduling of the show, have an idea and do research on the person and what I'm going to talk about. Like I never write down questions. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you could have told me that before tonight. I should have researched you.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Way to
epic
set me up for
failure at your
failure.
first time, but it's all right. But you know, I I always like the natural conversation approach. Like I've
Yeah.
done podcasts where I've like had this list of questions and it feels so forced.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times, like, people get annoyed with that. So it's a natural conversation. Like, I always tell everybody that comes on the show, and they're like, I'm really nervous. I've never done one of these. Like Sandy Kennedy, right? Like, and I'm not picking on her because, like, it was an awesome interview. We had an awesome conversation. And, she's like, I'm really nervous. I've never done one of these. Like, I don't know what to expect. And I go, look, block out the fact that we're live online.
Yeah.
It's just me and you sitting down around a campfire talking after a day of fishing. That's
Yep.
how I've always tried to, treat it. So it's good, man. It's just the way to go about it. But everybody's different, right? Like, I know guys that they have to have their notes like right here, so they're like reading off, whatever. But it's just I don't know, man. I'm really proud of the fact that, like, we've helped so many anglers and companies out along the way. So
Yeah, and you guys should be, man. It's you guys are really important part of the industry, and yeah, what you do here is important too. And it's fun, but what people don't realize sometimes, your fun or your hobby, man, it can get overwhelming at times too, and you can start grinding, and it can feel like a job. And you
yeah,
and I kind of talked about that too. But
yeah. I mean, it definitely is. Like all the paddle and fin stuff. I download, edit, upload, all that
yeah,
stuff. Like, I'm the only one doing that stuff. Like, which is totally fine, and that's by choice.
right,
But it's you put that work in, man, and like you get a message like, hey man, I just listened to this episode, like, went out on the water today and like crushed the fish.
yeah,
Thanks for interviewing so and so and talking about this bait or technique or how to rig your boat this way, this and that. Like, those messages right there are heartwarming.
yeah.
Like, I did my job. That's what I was supposed to do. So as long
So
as I could keep doing that and keep helping people out, I'll keep doing this, man.
yeah, so you and I, I know what you're running. You're running unlimited this year and last year. But you made the switch to the new EPS system. You kind of want to talk about that, kind of give it a little bit of a report card here on how you think it's performing for you.
2 thumbs up.
There you go.
Yeah, I made that switch. Like, I've always been a transom mount guy, and I always had like some DIY rigged like trolling motor that I like took the head off of and redid all the
Steering with
wiring.
road. Yeah,
I've done that before
I know. I
because I was
know.
waiting for the quick disconnect system.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, dude, that Newport vessel's partnered up with that quick connect system is the bee's knees. And it was even when I was using my Minn Kota motor that I had like
Yep.
jerry rigged.
Right.
The steering is nice. It's one handle. I'm itching to get that foot pedal steering. Like you and I talked about that. That is going to be so huge.
I might blow your mind this weekend. So
But yeah, oh, I know you FaceTime videoed me the other day.
yeah.
So but the motor itself, dude, like I got way too much power in my kayak. I'm running two 12-volt, 100 amp
Jeez.
Bioenno power
Yeah.
batteries running series to make the 24-volt system.
Yeah.
And that was partly due because I already had one 12-volt 100 amp, and I didn't want to like just throw that battery to the side and not use it. But so I rigged that up and running the motor. There's one thing like I found that was an issue that I talked to Romel about. So I first got to use it down in Florida for the 10 Invitational tournament, and got on the water and like full throttle. I was only getting 76%. Well, I got the Yak Attack Torpedo throttle plate mount, which goes hand in hand with the Newport vessels. It's the same
Yeah.
screw pattern and stuff. But the screws they give you with that, the front screw is a little too long and it messes with the magnet. And I had hit up Romel and I was like, dude, I'm only getting like 76% power. And he's like, that screw is too long, back it out. When you get back to the ramp, put washers between it and then tighten it back up so that way that screw is not so far up into the actual throttle mount.
Yeah.
I was on the water, dude. I backed it out and it was like, like just took off. Getting like 5 miles, 4.9, 5 miles an hour
But
at 80% throttle.
well, I mean, and you like you're one of those dudes that you take a lot of tackle with you
I
too.
take way too much tackle, dude. Way too much tackle.
Like it's like you just pick up your garage and put it in the back of your Unlimited
I
and roll out that way.
Going to tournaments, like, guys make fun of me because they call me the rolling tackle store because I have, like, 4 pl f was it 4 or 5? 4 Plano, like, tubs full of tackle,
Yeah.
and, so if you ever need anything and I'm there, like, just hit me up and I probably got it, but, yeah, so fully loaded, I'm doing, like, 4.9, 5 miles an hour. I got the batteries right behind my seat. I got a Yak Gadget crate behind that. And then I got the gear pod up front with my 30 amp battery to run my electronics and my light up in the gear pod. I got the Yak Gadget tray under my seat.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm partnered up with Yak Gadget. So I run all that stuff. And yeah, it's been awesome, man. It's a quick little motor. Like I said, that speed is at 80%.
Yeah.
If you go 100%, you only gain like 0.2 mile an hour, but it just chews through juice on the battery. Granted, I have more than enough power to do that, but like, why? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it burns it out. So
So what's on that? What's on that readout? The throttle cable readout. The throttle.
on the screen,
Yeah, on the screen there.
it'll give you the heck is it? It's how
Okay.
many watts you're using and the percentage of the throttle.
Okay.
And don't be dumb like me. Like, I remember I got everything hooked up here. I hooked the batteries up and like error code. And I'm like, crap, dude, I just killed my brand new motor. And I messaged Romel and I was like, dude, like I'm getting this error code. It says like battery's not compatible. Like sending him pictures how I got it wired. He's like, bro, hit the mode button. You got it on lead acid battery, not lithium. I was like, I hit that button and it was like, zzz. I'm like, oh my god, dude, it was
Oh,
that dumb. Like,
geez.
helps to read instructions,
Yeah.
obviously. But dude, it's a little badass motor, And when I took off tournament day, there was 3 guys with XI3s, and trust me, I'm a fan of XI3, and I could have used it that day because it was super windy. Spot lock would have been key, but um those guys took off in front of me and I caught up to them and they're like, "Man, that motor's pretty quick." And I'm like, "Yeah, it ain't too bad, And then like I passed him and I went down this canal down to Kissimmee because I launched at Guy Harvey's resort down there, which is between Kissimmee and Hatchahaw. By the time I got to Kissimmee and I looked back, I couldn't even see those guys. Like I just smoked them to
Yeah.
the lake. They were all coming down there. So um good to get to your spot quick, like if you're fishing in a tournament scenario. But in the wind, like it's hard to hold your position when the wind is blowing 30 miles an hour.
How's it in weeds?
Dude, I ripped right through some nasty mats and like lily pads that had like the stems were like that thick around.
No
Just
kidding.
chopped right through 'em, no issues. There was like maybe twice where like some weeds got around the prop and you just put it in reverse and then full speed forward and it just
Yeah.
shoots it right off.
Yeah. And that's it'll kick up too, right? Like if you hit something like
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think I might have hit a rock or something like drifting into shore and it kicked up.
okay.
And then you just hit full throttle and it just slams it right back
Yeah.
into place
It
and then
pops
you're
right
good.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. So but yeah, that thing's been awesome, man. I love it. I am considering getting an XI3 just for those instances, like when I do have windy days and using spot lock. Because last summer my old man bought a boat, and it's been great to be back on the water with him again. And he's got a Minn Kota with spot lock. So like fishing brush piles and stuff, we just pull up right on them and just hit spot lock and like be able to sit there and just cast continually to the same spot is huge. So I think I'm going to get one just so I could utilize it on the XI3. I know a lot of tournaments are only allowing you one motor on the kayak, which is fine. But I could use them both during pre-fishing, and then whichever, like if it's going to be a windy day, then I'll leave the XI3. If like it's a spot where I can go and just drift or coast along and fish, then I'll leave the Newport on the back.
I'll tell you one place that I really didn't even think about my XI3 and really utilizing it is dock fishing.
Yeah,
man, it makes dock fishing so much easier.
Oh yeah, dude.
Push it into the wind, and if you have a dock, you can hit the side of it, you can hit the front of it, you can hit the side of it again, and then the walkway. Like
just pick it apart, and then just move on to the next one. Yeah,
it's so money. Like it's probably one of my favorite kayak accessories that I've ever bought.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. Like again, like looking at all the technology and the things that have come into the kayak market, like the XI3 is huge, and like that was a big roar last year. And then like Newport coming out with the NK 180, which is its competitor is Torqeedo, which a lot of guys shied away from for years because it was so expensive, and now like obviously the expensive part is the battery, but now with that option to choose your own battery, like you go lead acid 24 volt, or you can get some lithium, go that route. Like now that you have that option, it's changed that market, it's changed. It's the same thing with like electronics. Like I know, I think it was James O'Neill mentioned in the chat, like electronics companies need to get on board. And I heard, I think it was Hoover, or maybe it was Gene Jensen. It was Gene Jensen. I was watching a video of his today of how he rigged out his kayak for the year. But he's like, instead of giving us 18-foot of transducer cable, maybe you guys can shorten down that to like 6 or 8, like having that option. So it's one of those things where it's like, it'd be nice. I think you're going to see that come to market eventually. Now that you're seeing guys rigging up like 2 depth finders on their kayaks and things like that, Papa Skidder is asking, mounting plates, or do you have to drill into your boat? We offer mounting plates for all that stuff.
Yeah. So if at the at the boat show this weekend, I have my kayak there. Anytime I'm discussing XI3 trolling motor with guys, I just take them over there and I show them how easy it is. So with the bow mount, you take off the handle bolts. There's already a third one on the Unlimited. There's a third one already there for you, and you just bolt and go, man.
Heck yeah. James is asking, have you connected the XI3 to a NMEA 2000 network to your fish finder? NEMA?
Actually, I have not. And one of the reasons is, to be honest with you, man, I don't fish with the depth finder a whole lot anyways.
That's a river rat.
Yeah. I still love the paddle. And that's one of my favorite things about the Unlimited is it paddles great. In current, it's great. And then, with the motor, it performs too. But yeah, I mean, like if I'm in 6 feet of water, I feel like that's a little too deep for me. So
yeah.
Now I do know guys that have all that hooked up and use like the what's it called, the pinpoint or whatever it's called, the
pinpoint GPS.
Yep. And use a gateway to get into their Lowrance system or whatever. So it's I know that there's some guys out there that do that, but it's just not for me.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, different applications suit different people's needs, when they're on the water, like you're fishing the river 90% of the time, it seems like, unless you're fishing a tournament. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
And honestly, man, like going back to mentors, like I didn't grow up fishing a river. I fished a tiny creek, and then I was blessed enough, fortunate enough to grow up on water, Kokomo Reservoir, which is the mud hole here in Indiana. But without some mentors throughout it all, like Nathan Pickering, those guys kind of helping me out on the river. Andy Knott, answering my dumb questions about current and this and that. And that's what's cool, man. Like you build those relationships with dudes, and that's really neat.
Heck yeah, man. It's all about networking, man. Just you can learn so many things from so many different people. And
Absolutely.
Like I always say, man, I try to learn one new thing on every trip out on the water. So
yeah. Something that I still do to this day is I will read about a new technique or hear about a new technique or one that I want to kind of clean up on, and that will be what I learn. And I learn how to fish it in all 4 seasons and what it does in all 4 seasons.
Sure.
To break down the water. So, yeah. So,
right on. What else you got, man? We're almost at an hour. I can't believe it.
I know. I'm going to flip it on you, and I don't know that I've heard what I don't know if I've heard you ask this question in at least in a few. You got an F12. Go in tandem.
I was hoping you forgot about that question.
Who are you taking with you, man? Dead or alive?
Man, that's tough. Like, I'll give you 2 versions. Version number 1 would probably be my grandfather. What I've told, he was a hell of a fisherman. I never got to meet him. So it'd be really cool to go fishing with him.
Yep.
And version 2, man, it's really tough because I always think about this when I ask people, like, what would I say? Version 2, man, would probably be and this may be unpopular to some, but
oh boy,
Mike Iaconelli.
Oh, okay.
Buzz Byerline said Beyonce.
Yeah.
Iaconelli, dude, I remember there was a point in my life where, like, I kind of fell out of fishing, and I was doing some other things that probably weren't all that great, and I remember, like, Sunday morning waking up and, like, seeing this guy screaming after he caught a bass every time, and I was like, that guy gets it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to follow his career for a long time and seeing what he's accomplished, both in the tournament world, but on the marketing side of things, which is something like I'm super interested in, and how he's created a living off of fishing virtually, which is something like I would like to do eventually in my lifetime. And just be able to sit down and pick his brain and be like, why did you do this? Or why did you do that? And how did this work out? How did that work out? Ask him for advice on, like, things I should do. And then not only that, but, fish with Ike, dude. Watch him freak out in the front of the F12 as he's sniffing a bass. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's one thing to see it on TV, but to have him, like, 4 feet away from me doing it in the front of a kayak, it's pretty cool.
While you're trying to balance.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not both tipping over. You know what I mean? And we could brag that we got another guy out of a Hobie and into a new canoe. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
and it's funny, with you mentioned Iconelli there. My dad used to be like, "Man, I cannot stand that guy.
and that's the thing too. My
He's
old
the
man,
worst."
my old man says the same thing. Like I
But
remember, like we would watch, like Bassmaster on TV, and my old man would like scream at the TV,
oh
"Shut the up!
yeah,
Quit screaming! Put the damn thing in the live well and
yeah,
go catch another one!" And like, but that's the thing, dude. Like people in our generation, man, they got back into fishing because they saw that energy. They
yeah,
saw this super charismatic guy standing on the front of a boat, flipping bass into the boat and just getting like so ecstatic. And
yeah,
he's talked about that before because for the longest time I thought it was just a big marketing scheme, right? Like he did this to bring attention to himself. But he's like legitimately like, dude, I get excited. I've always been that way,
yeah,
whether it's a 8-inch bass or a 10-pound bass. Like, and I think we all do that internally after we land a fish. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like we may not be screaming out loud, whatever. And like there's times where like I'm sure people like across the lake can hear me screaming and hooting and hollering and like whatever else. But it's I think we all do that internally. We just don't show it externally like he does.
yeah,
So it just a dude that's accomplished a lot in fishing, and I think has done it in the right ways. And not only that, but he's done a lot of stuff for like inner city kids and kids in general, which is awesome, dude. That's something I love, man. Like one of my favorite things to do right now is to take all my little nephews fishing, like
yeah,
they just to see their excitement and their smiles, and it just it brings joy to my heart and makes me feel good, dude.
yeah. It's too bad they don't have a better guide, but that's okay.
Bro, I got them convinced that I catch bigger fish than grandpa. And they tell grandpa that, and I may have bribed him with like some cookies and milk and stuff and ice cream, but it works. And it gets the old man all fired up. So
Yeah,
he fishes harder. He fishes harder so he could try to beat me. But the old man, I remember he got so frustrated this past summer, dude. Like there was one day we were out on the water and it was like every other cast, and he's like, seriously, seriously, like threw his rod down, and he's like, what's the point? What's the point? And I said, now you know how I felt every time I went with you on your boat as a kid, pre-fishing, and you're
yeah,
flipping bass in, and I'm back here going, I can't even catch one, like
yeah.
it's finally come full circle, old man. And that's our relationship, man. We tease
That's
each
right.
other and it's all out of love, but
No, that's fun, man.
it's
That's
good
fun.
stuff.
One last question. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Where in the world is Everett Park?
Oh, dude, that is a great question. I don't know, bro. Well, we had him last week,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
which was
No
good.
internet glitch, no nothing. It was
No,
pretty
dude,
smooth.
he got that new laptop, that new I think he put some foil on the antenna up top, and it's it was good to see his face. I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
he was going through some rough times, man. He obviously River Wolf is one of his really good friends, and then he also had to put one of his dogs down last week too. So that was tough, man. So
yeah.
hope he's doing better. I love Mr. Park. He is a good dude. We
He's
got
one of the good ones for sure, man. Like
absolutely.
absolutely, bar none, one of the greatest humans I know.
We got one last question in here from Josh Northcutt on
Let's go.
YouTube. He says, I car top and I'm having a difficult time figuring out a propulsion method for my Flint since there are so many pieces to some of the propulsion options New Canoe has. Any advice? What would work best?
I mean, that EPS is going to be pretty slick, man, because you can pull it. You can pull a pin and pull everything off and store and go. The
I
pivot
agree with
drive, yeah, kind of the same thing. So
I agree. I'd either go XI3 or EPS. EPS would be one pin in the back for the motor, and then they got the quick release Yak Attack throttle plate in the front, and then your battery in the back.
yep,
3 pieces. Bam. Throw it in the car, put it up on the rooftop. XI3, you get the quick disconnect for the motor, So you pull that wiring plug, unplug that, and then unplug your battery and into the back of the car and boat up on top. Probably your two easiest. Or you do the oh my god, dude, the pivot drive. You could leave the tower in the boat, just pull the pin at the tower and the one pin at the back for the propeller system, and you're done. That's easy. Get it set up, just pull the pin on the drive up front and a pin in the back to pull the actual drive mechanism off, and that's it. That's probably even easier if you wanted a pedal drive. If you want power, I mean, XI3 or the EPS is pretty much going to be the same. It's just all a matter of getting it rigged up. Most kayak shops nowadays will rig that stuff up for you, so all it is plug and play. So, and if you don't have a shop close to you, reach out. Like, I'm sure we could find somebody close to you that could help rig you up. So, is that it, my man?
That's it. That's all I have.
Wonderful. We did an hour,
time, man.
Over an hour here, man. Over an hour. Josh said thanks. Brock Howell says, how do I get on the new canoe team with awesome guys like you two? I'll tell you what I did. I slipped a hundo in Matt Gibson's pocket, and bam, next thing you know, I was on the team.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. That's a great question, man. Real quick, like, I've talked about it with some of our team guys, man. Just it's all about loving the brand, loving the sport, and promoting it in a positive manner. And as long as you keep doing that, people are going to catch on notice and they'll put you on a team for sure.
Yep.
If you guys want to hear a more in-depth conversation about that stuff, let me know. Feel free to hit me up on the socials. You can email me at paddle, the letter N, and fin at gmail.com. And I could point you in the direction, or we could actually do a show. But we're going to do a show Friday morning, live from the Indianapolis show with one of our dealers, Moving Water Outfitters. So be sure to tune into that. That'll be a lot of fun. We got a demo pool there. Maybe we'll put some one of us in the demo pool and get on the water and all that stuff. Mike Archer is asking, how do I get one of those hats?
So, Mike, this is honest right here. Honest. I have a really big head, and these are really old hats. So, like, when they went to the new hat design, I told them that I wanted every gray one that they had to send to me because my big head doesn't fit in those smaller hats.
That's funny.
So there are none that exist. This is my last clean one.
Is that the one that has the bottle opener in the back?
No, but I wish it did.
Dude, cool. I got one of those. It's a new canoe hat with a bottle opener, and I guess they gave them out at, like, I forget what it was.
ICAST or something, maybe?
Yeah, and one of the guys from Rocktown had it, and he never wore it, and he gave it to me. And he was like, congratulations on getting the new canoe team. I always knew you'd do it. And, like, gave me the hat, and it's got this bottle opener with a retract cord, like, back here in the back. We'll have to ask Blake when those were made, but I got it at the podcast studio. I haven't been there recently. I've been doing everything from home lately, and that's just the podcast studio is actually flooded right now, I heard. So yeah, that was the news I got today, but I will get back there soon. But regardless, we'll have the show Friday morning from the Indianapolis Boat Travel and Sports Show. We'll have some of the boats in the pool. We're going to be talking to Moving Water Outfitters, one of the biggest dealers in the Midwest, and we'll have Andy Knott, another one of our team guys down there, and we're just going to shoot the breeze. It'll be a morning show. It'll be cool. It'll be relaxed. Like I said, we'll put some boats in the water. Maybe I'll bring some swimming trunks, and I'll see how far I can push these boats to the edge. There you go. I'll go for a swim. I'll go for a swim live, dude. I'm good for that.
Let me say, I wouldn't mind seeing you fall in. But yeah, that Friday show is going to be fun. There's who knows what we'll talk about. We'll actually have some of the new accessories rigged up. So yeah, we can maybe show you how the the rudder works, some of the foot pedal stuff. Probably shouldn't run a motor in that. I know if Chris is listening, he's shaking his head no right now.
I could bring some
really
batteries.
fast. But we'll see. We'll see what kind of mischief we can get into.
Andy's in the chat. He says it can't wait. So maybe he's the one going for a swim. But awesome, man. As always, guys, gals, if you tune in late, please go to saveriverwolf.com and I'll drop that link in the chat right now. If you could donate $5, $2, buy a raffle ticket.
Say a prayer, whatever you can do, man. Just
man.
have River and his family in your thoughts. You're talking about ambassadors of kayak fishing, and that's one of the dudes right there, and just a great guy, a genuine guy.
Absolutely.
I know that's been said over and over again, but man, SaveRiverWolf.com. Jump on there, kind of look at the story and help however you can. Like I said, if that's just a thought, then definitely take that right now.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, boys and girls, we will see you Friday morning. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I had a lot of fun. Hope I answered some questions for all you guys. And looking forward to the next one. Oh, you're going to do it? Do it.
Until next time. What is it? Smooth?
Oh, my God.
What is it?
Till next time, boys and girls. Tight lines. Smooth paddling. Peace.
We're out.